You are seeing an incredible moment in Kremlin back entrance when internal security lieutenant asked two strangely dressed females to lift the dresses for security check because he could not believe their height. He is 6 feet tall and they were towering another 4 feet above him. So he naturally thought they are wearing leg extensions, but as you can see there is no leg extensions present, just 5-inch tall shoes. Everybody else was thinking they are wearing leg extensions under the dresses, but Lieutenant had a genuine shock when he saw no extensions. Then FSB colonel approached him and said that they have full clearance to enter the Kremlin and no further security checks are necessary. The lieutenant said they were even moving strangely, semi-floating in the air, and said that there is no human can reach that height over 3 meters or 10 feet tall, or to move like they did. Lieutenant thinks they were out of this world Nephilim or Nordic aliens out of this planet, and he will remember the encounter for the rest of his life.
Okay, I'm gonna put this camcorder down.
Yeah, it's nice driving a boat home after a rough day out on the ocean.
They're being surrounded by friggin' UFOs or the Coast Guard. Following us in, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 lights we see there. They've been coming on, they work 7 lights. Oh, this is a big deal. Keeping pace with us.
Paulina, Paulina, stäng av för helvete! Stäng av! Paulina! Stäng av! För fan, stäng av! Paulina!
Maje, ¿qué es esa onda? ¿Estás viendo eso? ¡Ay, puta! No jodas.
Caralho, bicho, que explosão é essa?
done. So we're just waiting on anything on the rock.
Amy. Amy. Amy.
Mire, este video fue grabado en el 2021, pero nadie le pusimos atención. Era muy inestable y muy poco claro. Sin embargo, alguien en los Estados Unidos lo acercó, lo estabilizó y la imagen ahora resulta extraordinaria. Realmente hay que ponerle atención. Aparentemente viene un ser en el interior de lo que parece ser una especie de cápsula. Además, es muy similar, extraordinariamente similar a la famosa bruja, usted recuerda, que fue videograbada en Monterrey y que causó sensación en México. Vea usted estas imágenes.
Un residente de la localidad de Denver, en Colorado, Estados Unidos, tuvo la oportunidad de videograbar en el transcurso del año 2021 una extraña y misteriosa estructura que se desplazaba en el cielo dando giros. El video circulaba desde entonces en redes sociales y pasó desapercibido para los investigadores, ya que la toma era muy inestable debido a la gran distancia a la que se encontraba el objeto y la velocidad a la que se movía. Sin embargo, análisis de estabilización de imagen realizados en los Estados Unidos recientemente revelaron evidencias extraordinarias que apuntan directamente a la posibilidad del origen no humano de este objeto. Con este procedimiento quedó mejor definida la forma de la estructura, que en realidad se trata de una cápsula cóncava que en un costado expone una especie de vidrio que brilla con la luz del sol cada vez que el objeto da un giro, y que a su vez guarda en su interior lo que parecería la presencia de un ser extraterrestre que sería el encargado de controlar este dispositivo. Observe con atención. Con la aplicación de filtros se pudo observar con mayor definición la morfología del ser, el cual incluso parece tener un dispositivo en la mano. Una evidencia extraordinaria que, de confirmarse con más análisis, demostraría una vez más la existencia de los denominados seres grises provenientes de otros mundos. Por sus características, este caso estaría relacionado con dos videos previos en el que fueron registrados dispositivos que exponen similitudes al reportado en Denver. El primero fue generado en la ciudad de Monterrey, cuando un grupo de testigos logró registrar la tarde del 17 de mayo del 2006 cómo una extraña cápsula sobrevolaba en las proximidades del Cerro de la Silla. De este video en particular, 2 años más tarde, en el 2008, el arquitecto Josué Hernández realizó un análisis basado en la información del video original y lo digitalizó para hallar una estructura muy similar a la que sería grabada años más tarde, en el 2021, en Denver, Estados Unidos. Asimismo, en otra grabación registrada en los Estados Unidos, fue visto otro dispositivo que expone también un costado cóncavo. Observen el comparativo. El parecido es sorprendente. Sin duda que con el avance del tiempo y la tecnología, comenzamos a reconocer una realidad que durante años fue negada. Y hoy podemos reconocer a quienes controlan estos dispositivos, que sin duda se trata de tecnología avanzada de origen no humana. Información para Tercer Milenio 360 Internacional.
Хорош. Найден на дне Черного моря. Неизвестный. Как вы думаете, это настоящий? Или придуманный персонаж? Одной ноги почему-то нету. Офигеть.
Everybody seen this? This has been all over the news. This is what we call the Atacama humanoid. First of all, I don't know what it is. Every scientist has looked at it and says, oh my God, it looks like an alien. Well, perhaps, we don't know. It's a mystery, it's an enigma wrapped in a mystery. It may be something prosaic, but I don't believe so.
It's actually interesting. I have not had a person who I've shown the things to who hasn't been absolutely fascinated.
Oh, I know.
Right? But it's only when you want to talk about it slightly openly that suddenly everybody shuts down.
Right.
Hey, Tom. If it is something interesting, right? Let's say in the most interesting of all ways from a clinical standpoint, it's a human mutation, right? One of the things that has to be answered, because just a preliminary examination of this sample is that it is obviously older than just an aborted fetus, right? So a preliminary examination tells you that this is a small human, perhaps, right, that has lived post-birth for a sufficiently long period of time that how do you explain how something 6 inches tall survived to any length of time that would allow for it to survive 100 or 1,000 years ago. In the most interesting and outrageous case, it is something that is not human and not primate, but still hominid. How do we explain a hominid that small? So the answer is, before we get too excited and spend too much time speculating, is let's just use the techniques that we use in the laboratory every single day to answer the question. So luckily, here at Stanford, we happen to have literally the world's expert, the man who wrote the book on bone dysplasias and syndromes, a gentleman by the name of Dr. Ralph Lachman.
We went to Barcelona where this little being is stored. We took exact x-rays that he requested from Stanford and brought them back, hand carried them back, as well as on a computerized disc, which is now on our website, you can see it. He looked at it and he said, well, first of all, there is no form of dwarfism or genetic defect that explains everything seen in this being.
So one of the first things that Dr. Lachman immediately remarked upon was the shape of the head and the skull. That it was not something that he is accustomed to seeing. Certain aspects of the skull and certain aspects of the potential mutations and syndromes that might account for the specimen were present. But what was remarkable, at least in my discussions with him, that any given syndrome often has co-phenotypes or co-events that would occur. And it was quite interesting and in some ways exciting as he would remark upon a particular feature of the specimen and then find that the associated features that you would expect from a syndrome of that nature were not found.
What you'll also see is that he says it has 10 ribs.
Occasionally there are human mutations where there's perhaps 11 ribs, but only rarely is it ever seen that there is 10, and then never are those kinds of mutations seen associated with the other features of the skull and or face. So again, if this is human and it has a constellation of mutations that have not been seen before, doesn't discount that it might be such a constellation of mutations, but it's just that they've never been seen before.
What he didn't notice, but I will point it out to you, it has 4 skull bones, rather than the 6 major ones we have. It's symmetrical, and the symmetry is what's also very important. The only asymmetry I want to point out, which is mentioned in Dr. Lachman's report, is the fact that it had a terrible blow to what we would call our right mastoid air cell area of the skull that crushed the skull and kind of torqued the whole skull, and also a fracture of the right humerus. The epiphyseal plates, if you look at the x-ray, which is the growth plates. You know when you have, the growth plates in a kid and they hurt their leg? The growth plates and the bone density is that of a 6 to 8-year-old.
The idea here is that in the growing knee or in the growing joint, mostly it is made of cartilage, and that you get a mineralization of the cartilage and a continued growth of this so-called growth plate. There are standards, right? There are expectations that you will have the growth plate be of a certain size for a certain age. The shock, I think, and the surprise was, and the absolute certainty that Dr. Lockman had was that this specimen was clearly not fetal, right? Even though the size of the specimen would suggest that it's fetal, but that by comparing the growth plates to known standards, this is clearly between 6 to 8 years old.
All right, now call me crazy, but I'm just a doctor. But I can tell you, I've taken care of a lot of children that are 6 and 8 year olds. I've never seen one 6 inches tall. This is 6 inches, 13 centimeters. What 6 to 8 year old can live to be only 6 inches tall? Number one. Number two, how did it live? It was found in the driest place on earth, the Atacama Desert in Chile, northern Chile. It is estimated to be in many decades and probably hundreds of years old. There was no neonatal intensive care unit in Chile at that time. There may not be now. And even at the best neonatal intensive care unit in the world today, you could not keep this person, for lack of a better word, alive. So the question becomes, what is it?
It's quite clear that this is a real sample, this is a real specimen, this is not something somebody glued together. Anybody who thinks that this is something that is glued together, I challenge them to do it, right? And I challenge them to be able to subject such a thing to an X-ray and or CRT image and then let that pass the world's expert in bone dysplasias, right? So that has not been done.
Since it doesn't conform to any known form of dwarfism, it could very possibly be a type of progeria, which is when you have a very advanced aging process. But he seriously doubted it. Now, fast forward to some of the early work. Now, this has been misinterpreted in the internet, unfortunately, not only on the Huffington Post, but also in a number of other minor news outlets about the genetic report. I want to be very careful. Number one, keep this number in mind. A Neanderthal is 99.5% genetically identical to everyone in this room. Okay, the chimpanzee and the great apes, 96 to 97 or more percent identical genetically. This being has a big match to human genome, but it's an upright creature with a very large cranial vault, 3 times the size of our cranial vault from the eyes up. So we would expect a lot of the operative genes, if it was in this 3D dimension and it's a humanoid, to have some match. What's unusual, although nothing can be concluded yet from it, is that 9% of the genetic material is, quote, unmatching. Now this is on a computerized run at the best lab in the world out of Stanford, and it was checked 3 times. 9%. Now, is that all computer read error? Maybe. Is it all what's called DNA junk? Perhaps. We don't know. It's going to take years to go through what the computer kicked out into the trash can of unmatched DNA to figure out what is in there. Dr. Nolan, the Stanford head of the team, doesn't know. I don't know. What we know is this. It's going to take years, and at least, if we're lucky, a year or 2, to go through that, because it's 2 million base pairs of genetic material unmatched. Now, if you were dealing with my DNA or yours, and you had a lot of unmatching, you just leave it alone, because we know we're just humans. And it's just like, well, it was a computer error, or it's this or that. But when you have something that looks like that, what you have is something that cannot just be tossed away. Because so far, and this is something I want you to listen to extremely carefully, the genes that control for progeria, advanced aging, or dwarfism are showing no mutations. This is a 6-inch 6 to 8-year-old. Get it? Why isn't there something in there? So this is still a mystery. Now, once the geneticists say human, use the word human, the media that aren't well-versed in genetic research say, oh, well, case closed. Case is just starting. It has just begun. And I can tell you that it may be years before we get an answer on this. We have to do probably a year or 2 or 3 of research. And I'll remind people that the Human Genome Project cost billions of dollars and took 10 years and thousands of scientists. We're just going into something that's basically an unknown. And the other thing that's come to light is that there may be more of these. We're on the lead to one that may exist and have been found in Puerto Rico. There are reports that there are more of these that are in Chile. And we have videotapes and photographs of a creature that looks very similar to this one that was a little more mature, maybe less than a foot tall, that was found in Russia, was kept alive for a number of months apparently. I found out about it in 1996, but too late. The FSB, which took the place of the KGB, had apparently confiscated it by then. So we have to be very careful. I'm not saying it's ET. I'm saying we don't know. But looking at the big clinical picture, it just cannot just be a normal defected human if it lived to be 6 to 8 years of age and is only 6 inches tall. The point is, there's a great deal of mysterious information around this, and we have to be very careful to proclaim it one thing or another. People are proclaiming it ET. I'm saying we don't know quite what it is. Other people are saying, we solved the mystery because it has so much human DNA in it. No, we're not saying that either. Because there's still this 9% unmatched, which could be everything from computer read error to junk DNA to where the mystery of how this thing existed.
Well, I mean, no matter what, I mean, if you're a scientist and in the biologies,
yeah.
If this is, we know this is an organism, it's not
right.
matched up to any primate,
right.
any ancient hominid, any modern primate, anything that is known. So it's an unknown. So
right.
That's what discovery is about. And so, you know, the point I make to people is that, so let it go where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And
right. Follow the science where it takes you.
And so there's a great deal of research that has to be done. An expedition to do this properly would cost probably 10 times what it costs to do this documentary. And if somebody wants to underwrite that, I'll be there with bells on.
The follow on to this, after you do the genetic analysis, is an expedition to the Atacama Desert to further do investigations into this region, and because of reports that there are more than one of these. And if a second one were to be found, that would be
right. Well, if
positive.
there's a second one, then I think all bets are off.
Oh yeah, look at this. This is cool. There's the spaceship. You see it? It's right there. Yes, it is. No, it's not. I guarantee it, Veronica. Look at it. No, that's what me. Look at it. Holy crap.
What?
Deixa un poquillo que esté...
¿Desapareció?
Está atrás de la nube, pero como que atrás iba algo, atrás de esa luz grande iba algo y adelante.
Ahí está, ahí está.
Mira, ¿qué es?
Perdí. Ahí está. Qué madre.
Mi amor, eso es algo muy extraño. Ahora lo perdí.
arma! ¡Opa!
Tucker.
that, Mom? Mom, you see this?
Holy shit! What the?
Sorry.
all'umanità che percepisce sempre più di essere parte di un destino comune, realtà locali e realtà globali. Equilibrio che il G7 può contribuire concretamente all'adempimento dei obiettivi, si rivela utile questo appuntamento capace di associare tempestivamente l'Europa come l'Africa. Avvertiamo bisogno crescente. Siamo nel tempo che l'uno di questi giorni ha compiuto orribili stragi dal Regno Unito. Siamo nel tempo che. Siamo nel tempo che. Siamo nel tempo che. Siamo nel tempo stragi dal Regno Unito. Siamo nel tempo che. 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 Siamo nel tempo che, siamo nel tempo che, siamo nel tempo che,